All right, Coach, so just needing 1 year to reach the championship with this new team, and so what's that sort of mean to you and what it means back to the people here to be able to deliver that in just one season?
Yeah, well, I'll start off by saying that's not normal. The candid answer is nobody expected this in year one, but when you've got a group of hard-working people who work behind the scenes trying to build something like this, when you've got a great locker room of amazing people, excellent football players who work hard, apply themselves every day, deal with the highs, deal with the lows that a season brings, and then you've got the city of Spokane who have showed up for us all year. If there is a magic recipe, that is it. So the successes that we've had this year are really down to those things, and nobody expected it, but you know, we had the right formula in place to achieve something to at least get to the playoffs. And then when you get into the playoffs, it's a very different season. And then it's about who can put it together there. So, yeah, it's been phenomenal.
So how do you keep that momentum up against the top team in the standings?
Listen, we've beat two of the three better teams in the league. The team is flying high in confidence right now, and there's no reason why we can't go out there and get the job done on Sunday.
You talked about right before the last game of the regular season how as long as you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. We obviously saw that. You want to talk about the switch from maybe those last couple of games of the regular season to what you're seeing during the playoffs?
Yeah, I keep hearing the reference of we didn't win a game in our last 7. I want to correct that reference. We lost 5 and we drew 2. Those 2 draws are huge. So I want to make sure that we correct that reference that was put up there. And many of those games that we did lose, we had many good performances in those games. We didn't get the result. The players feel those performances. They feel the result heavily, but they feel the performances, and we're like, hey, we played good, we played decent. And that momentum just kind of built up, and then we get to that Knoxville game at the end of the season, and against probably close to the end of the season, Knoxville was statistically the best defensive team in professional football in the USA. We didn't get the goal, we didn't get the final touch, but we dominated them, and the boys took a lot of confidence from that, as they should. So going into the Colorado game, we played them the week before Knoxville, and we went out there, played excellently against Colorado. We had 1 lapse and they punished us, and that's what good teams do. But we learned our lesson from that game, and there was a couple of things that we needed to improve ourselves to put the final touch on our game. And we go to Colorado and we put together an almost perfect game plan.
You've played this Union Omaha team a couple of times. You've beat them. What does that do for the confidence of this team?
Yeah, listen, I think again it's a different season. It's a different game. It's a different feel. The build up to the game is different. So it just brings a different feel. I think we're 50-50 right now. I think we beat them twice. They beat us twice. So we'll see who comes out on top on Sunday.
It's been almost a year since you talked to me for the first time about the importance of developing an identity and needing time to do that for this club that's just started its first year in USL's League One. So the club is still just an infant, not quite a toddler even. How would you characterize the identity of the team, though, at this moment?
Yeah, I put it into a couple of different buckets. It's who we are as a club, and I think we're in a really good place with that. We're always learning and growing every day. We've got great people here. We've got people doing excellent work here. And I think the successes that you see on the field, and people don't realize this, is most of anything that happens in the club in some way, shape or form trickles down to the players. And that can affect their performance both positively and negatively. So the first pointer is that what has been done in the background here has been incredible. It's been a massive assist, for lack of better words, to allow the guys to just go on the pitch and do what they need to do, which is just play football. The culture of the locker room and the team, our leadership group, the players that we brought in intentionally were brought in because they are good people, but they also fit how we want to play football. So the culture in that locker room and riding the waves of the season is it's incredible. It's incredible. And then of course, getting through the season and trying to build that identity. There's been some little tweaks along the way, but in terms of how we play, regardless of the formation, the idea of football doesn't really change. The formation is really just a tool to assist with that. So we've tweaked the formation a little bit, but the identity has always stayed pretty true. So Do we have an identity? Yes, we do. We still need to develop it. I mean, I'm talking with the boys this morning about things that we need to fix from the Madison game, and they're all giving me the eye roll, but we still need to improve on that identity, and that's what's going to help us win these types of games. So super happy with where it's at. It's got us to where we are right now, and we go into this game staying true to who we are.
Back to back to back clean sheets. I just want to put that in neon lights against the three of the best 5 teams in USL League One, starting with one Knox, then Northern Colorado, and then most recently Madison. What can be replicated against Omaha?
It's the same. I mean, we were an incredibly compact team. There was moments where we were defending a little lower or longer than we'd like, but that's just a game of football sometimes, especially in these high pressure games, and you've just got to stay true and tight and compact as a group and fight and work together and run for each other, and that's what we showed in the last couple of games, more so in the Madison game than we did the Colorado. A little later in the Colorado game we were under pressure. I thought we dominated most of that, but the Madison game was a little bit more pressure defensively, and we stood true to it. So we know what we need to do. Madison played very similar style to Omaha, so we've almost got a 120-minute training match there against what we're going to face versus Omaha, but of course they've got slightly different players and slightly different rotations in their attack. So once we dial in on that, there's no reason why we can't go out there and put in a similar performance to get a clean sheet.
I don't think you guys had 3 points on the road since August 7th heading into that Northern Colorado game. How do you just kind of assess the last 2 games on the road, hostile environments, and your guys rising to the occasion?
Yeah, again, it's you've really got to separate the two seasons. You got the regular season and the playoffs, the postseason. Form doesn't really matter when you go into the playoffs. It's one game and you're done. And if you can put together a performance, whether that's a more attacking displaying performance like we showed versus Colorado, but we can't ignore how well we defended and stopped their danger, or a more defensive performance that we showed against Madison, and we showed glimpses of good attacking moments in that game. So 2 very different games in how we approached both and how they turned out. So again, we've got the experience of those two games from a more attacking perspective, a slightly more defensive perspective, and you've always got to look at the game holistically when you play. So we've got them fresh in our mind, and yeah, we've got to take those experiences into the game on Sunday.
And the last time you saw Omaha on the road, they got you pretty good. What makes it tough to play there, and what makes them kind of, you know, a little bit different than the team you faced here that you were able to beat a couple times? Yeah,
they're at home, they're a good team, they're well coached, so you've got to give credit to the opposition and respect them. It's always easier when you're playing at home. I think almost towards the back end of the season, we had the best home record in the league. It just shows the advantage of that with our fans behind us, and they've got the same advantage too. But we've shown we can go to 2 places, specifically Madison, that is a hostile environment, and get the business done. So we're not worried about it. We know what we need to go and do, and yeah, we're just focused on going out there Sunday and doing that.
And just for you, seeing the performance the last 2 games, I mean, is this something that you really saw coming, that you expected from your team heading into the playoffs?
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. You could see it building in the last couple of games of the season. You could see it versus Knoxville. You can see how the boys feel, talk, train every single day. I'll reference what I mentioned before. At the start of the season, if you asked me this question, I probably would have said no. But as we started to build this club and this team and this culture, and you start to see this team gel throughout the year and the football that they can play, there's absolutely no reason why this group they were not out of this by any means. So the first job was to get us into playoffs. We got over that hurdle, and then, like we said, once you're in, you can go and do really whatever you want to go and do. So they've put themselves in this position. Fantastic performances to get to this point. We've got one more to get it done, and we can 1,000% go and lift this trophy on Sunday.
I have one more for you, Leigh. You watched Charleston go up 2-0 in a shootout with Phoenix in the USL Championship final last year before losing 3-2. Walk me through your emotional and intellectual and coaching perspective during the Madison shootout.
I was a lot calmer versus the Madison shootout than I was the Charleston one.
Yeah.
That was my first reflection. We trained hard, different scenarios, fun day on penalty shootouts. We'll do a game like penalty shootouts. We mix it up. We practice some different techniques to be composed when we step up for the penalties, but I think you saw a real composure from the group, and I think that radiated to the staff and the players on the sideline because we felt really calm in that moment too.
Coach, two very different scores and just games overall in your 2 postseason victories. What did you take away from both of them, and how is that going to help you in the final against Omaha?
Yeah, I think there's been some question marks to us on our attacking game in terms of putting the ball in the back of the net, and rightfully so. We did lead the league for a while, or at least within the top percentile of touches in the 18. I think our XG was up there as some of the highest. Passes into the 18, passes into the final third. So all the things we need to do to score, we were doing. We were just not getting that final touch. So really what we learned in the Colorado game was if we make that final 8 to 10 yard run and we commit ourselves to get inside the box and get on the end of passes and crosses, etc., we can do the business, and we showed that in that game. Madison was a very different one. When you come off that 5-game stretch where we lost, we conceded a few goals there. But we've shown throughout the season at points that we can defend and we can get clean sheets. So that was another, kind of a point to make that, yeah, we can score goals and we can defend. But it's about putting it together at the right time. So I think those 2 games are definitely a reflection of that.
And 2 very unexpected, people putting the ball in the back of the net in the last 2 games. Jack Denton in the first game getting his first professional goal, and then Collin Fernandez in the last one nailing the final penalty shot. Who do you think, if anybody, could step up in this game that you may not have an idea of scoring a goal beforehand?
Yeah, it's anyone. You don't know how these games are going to go, so it's so difficult to predict. We just hope that it's 2 or 3 guys who are able to step up on the day and get the job done in the 90 minutes. But yeah, we really don't know. I wish I had a crystal ball and could tell you.
Any other questions from the audience? Feel free.
How has this season set you guys up for success for the next seasons and all the seasons to come?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something I've put a lot of thought to, because this could go many different ways. You've got your objectives coming into year 1, which were really dial in on a style of play and get that ingrained in the team. So when somebody sits back at the end of the season and looks at us, they say, hey, that's a Spokane Velocity team. Anything that comes above that would have been a huge success. That's the reality. Now the competitor deep down in all of us wants to go out there and they want to go into playoffs, and we want to go and compete. So I think it's a 2-part answer. I'll have a follow-up on that in terms of getting to the final. Now when you do something like this that the guys have achieved this year, that can often change the goalposts for next year. Does the bar get raised even higher now? So listen, we always want to go out and we want to win. We want to be successful. That's never ever going to change. What we've achieved this year is absolutely incredible. We want to go out and do the same again next year. So I don't think that's ever going to change for us, but it's given us a lot of valuable lessons on the pitch, off the pitch from this year, to understand what it takes to do what the boys have done this year. And we've got to try and replicate that at a minimum and then push beyond that next year.
Coach, you've talked about not just playing to win, but also kind of playing for the fans, playing for the city. How have you kind of married this idea of playing a brand of soccer that's exciting to watch and also one that's winning a lot?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's not easy, because as you're building an identity as a club and you're building how you want to play, that comes with communication breakdowns. It comes with sometimes bad performances, bad halves, results down. Sometimes it works the other way around and you're getting results and you have a good run of form. In some ways that's football, but as long as you stay true to who you are and the identity that you want to play, people buy into that. Not just on the players' side, but the fan side. They like a certain style and want to be attached to a certain style, mainly because it's entertaining. So the balance of building the identity and getting results, but also making sure that we play a brand of football that is fun to watch. It's difficult, but it's a fun journey. And I think our numbers that we've just mentioned in terms of the third highest attendance in the league in our first year just shows what the guys are doing on the field to present that brand of football. but it also speaks about the city itself in terms of showing up for us in year one. It's been incredible.
Coach, so obviously the finals gonna be a dogfight. You guys played there a month ago. The result wasn't what you guys wanted. What tactically are you guys doing different to deal with their three in the back with a double pivot, and like breaking down their compact defense and working on their attacks at the right side?
How long do you have?
Yeah.
We are in a slightly different formation than we were last time we went there. Omaha defend in a couple of different ways against opposition setup. So for example, if a team's in a double pivot, Omaha tend to go with a 5-1-3-1 mid block and then try and press out of there. If the opposition is if the opposition has got kind of a midfield three, like a 2 and a 1, they'll go 5-1-3-1. If the opposition has just 2 in midfield, and you'll likely see that in more of like a 5-2-3 or a 4-4-2 flat, they'll tend to go 5-2-3 in terms of their defensive structure. But they're aggressive in their pressure. Pressure is their number one principle. They don't necessarily worry about being compact. So there's spaces for us to play through them and around them, and definitely over them when they pressure. But also as a defensive unit, when they get a little lower, they make it super compact and tight and very difficult to play through. But as a team on the ball, they're a team that can play football. They can play through you, they can play around you. They've got guys who are fast who can play over you. They really, really enjoy playing into the half space on the weak side. So there's a couple of different components about them. They're a well-rounded team. Listen, they've been building their identity for 2-3 years now, and as you can tell, it's a well dialed in style of play. But listen, it's nothing we haven't faced already. We're not too concerned about what they do. We'll do our homework. We'll set up how we want to stop them doing what they do and the spaces we want to hit them in, and that's what this is about. It's a chess match, right? So we've just got to go out there on the day and execute.
Take one more question for Coach Leigh.
What does Spokane Velocity's qualification for the USL League One Championship represent for the club, and how has the team's historic run to the final captured the attention of soccer fans nationwide?
For us, it's everything. And I've mentioned the people that put in the work behind the scenes. The players always get the limelight on the field, and they work incredibly hard every day to achieve what's happened right now. But none of this happens without the people behind the scenes. None of this happens without the fans. The city has shown up incredibly this year. They've been consistent in their support for us. You see the videos from Flat Stick Pub these past couple of weeks. I mean, seeing those videos after the game, for me personally, I get emotional when I see them. So to see the support that they've shown for us when we're on the road is just incredible. But also that's a reflection of the work that's done behind the scenes, from ownership, from media, ticket sales, merchandise. I mean, I'm probably forgetting a bunch of different departments here, but there's a lot of people that have put a lot of work in to make this happen, and they deserve a lot of credit. And a lot of the reason why we're in this position right now is because of those guys too. And I've said this from day one. You don't do this stuff without being together in everything that you do. And this club, from ownership all the way down to me and everything in between, it's been together from day one, and that's why we've been able to do what we've done here. And I think from the broader perspective on the league itself and what it says is, it's kind of reiterating what I've just said, is if you, listen, we're not perfect. We have a lot of things that we need to fix on the field, front office, systems and processes, etc. But when you've got a group of people who've got a common goal, who are good people, who want to perform well or are good performers and are driven to succeed, when you've got that group of people, it really doesn't matter how good you are at your job. You've just got a group of people who want to work hard, have great attitudes, a growth mindset, a humility to be better every single day. When you've got that all the way down from the top to the bottom, and our ownership lead this every single day, this is an example of what you can do. It's not all about the X's and O's. It's not all about the tactics. It plays a part, but you've got to have that in place from top to bottom. So for me, that is the example that this club has set this year. It's the people involved, it's the humility, it's the growth mindset. But of course, you've got to execute within your roles that you've got within the club. And that's where, again, we've done a fantastic job this year, all the way down from ownership to front office, and then, of course, the players on the pitch.
All right, well, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
So, really for both of y'all, just sort of what we were asking Coach too, what's it mean to y'all to step onto this team, be a part of the inaugural team, and lead them already to a championship game?
It's really special. I've never been a part of an expansion team, so it's really interesting to see how well the club has handled it. Seeing all the support from the city, like Leigh said, means a lot to me. I'm sure it means a lot to everybody on the team. It's just really special.
It's exciting. I mean, it's what you work for all season long, right? You want to be in the championship, but to be a part of an expansion team, it makes it that much more difficult and that much more meaningful at the end of it. I think it's going to be a challenge, obviously, but we've been up for it all season long. We've had a roller coaster of a season, and I think it's just going to be such a battle, and I feel like we have the guys for it. So to be a part of that, it's just going to make it that much more special.
How has the mentality kind of shifted as you've gone into the playoffs, I guess, like within the group, within the locker room, sort of how have y'all meshed, and what's the different kind of attitude now just being pillars in this playoff?
I think it's just a different level of focus. You just got to stay together as a team for 90, 120 minutes, whatever it takes. We've done a really good job of that. There's been moments where we've had really good performances, but there's been small mental lapses. Haven't really had that the last 2 playoff games. It's good to see. And for me, focus is just a really big part of that.
The mentality's changed quite a bit. I've seen it within the players. Especially coming out from, 5-6 games where we had it won, so that's always difficult to take, but we put ourselves in a good position to, get to the first step, which is make playoffs. But to have that mentality shift, and we know once, playoffs come, it's a whole different ballgame. You're one game and out. It's all about who wants it more, who digs deeper. And I always try to remind the guys before we go out onto the field is, it's about who wants it more. But it's going to take every single player to get to that point. And, we need all the guys on the roster to, put in the same amount of effort and have the same mentality to get through the game. So I think it's just that. It's just the biggest thing is the mentality, especially being the underdogs. We weren't like the top seeded teams or anything like that. So I think it's, to have that mentality shift, it's been such a big part of it.
Luis, you had the first, playoff goal in history of the club, and then 2 more goals in the next 15 minutes. Do you think there's something to scoring in bunches there, and kind of how do you hope to, recreate that?
Oh, I love that. I loved it. As the game kind of went on, you can feel like the pressure when we were playing Colorado. They were feeling a little bit more of the pressure. I kind of huddled the guys in at halftime, even before the game. Of the pressure's all on them. We're in their home. They're the higher seed team. We're kind of the underdogs, but as long as we play our game, I know the goal's going to come. Obviously, it was good that we got it within 15 minutes. 3 goals in 15 minutes takes pressure off of us at that point too. And so it's such a good feeling. But I mean, for the guys like Jack, his scoring his first goal, Anwar, getting that goal a few minutes later after mine. You can see that guys were excited about it, and we just wanted it more. We didn't sit back after 1 goal and park the bus. We could have easily done that and put ourselves in a bad situation against a team that likes to counterattack a lot. And they may not get a lot of opportunities that game, but they have players who can put that 1 goal away, and then it's a whole different ball game. So in order for us to get better in those situations, I think it was big time that we were able to get those goals in such a short amount of time.
And Brooks, you want to just walk me through the save there and penalty kicks? Definitely showing some emotion there afterwards. Just kind of walk me through that and just what's led to the success the last couple games.
For me on PKs, the way I look at it, break the goal up into thirds and you basically commit to a third. Have an idea of what the run-up is going to be like. If they stutter step, you never want to go early and just give up the goal. It's really just committing and get it right, make the save. That's about it for that. And then what else was it?
It was just 3 clean sheets in a row. What's kind of contributed to that?
I think just the togetherness of the group. I really got to thank my back line. There's been a lot of big moments. Last game, I mean, cross comes in, I turn around, I see Cam just flying through the air. Great to see. So just the grit to want to win, like Luis said. I think that's what does it for us.
So you're playing with North Carolina FC in the League One championship final last year. It goes to PKs. You guessed right, or you had a sense of where Joel Johnson was going to go for Charlotte Independence, and it was to your left again. Put a strong hand on it, pushed it up off the bar. Did it occur to you in real time that the save against Sharif J was very similar to the one a year ago for North Carolina? What was going through your head at that moment?
Not really. Probably was going through my head, just getting stick from all the fans at Madison.
The flock.
So hearing that for 120 minutes, it feels really good to kind of put it back in the face.
All right,
yeah.
let's go there. In the other two games against Madison, we gave up 5, we scored none. In the game that counted, you had a clean sheet, saved a penalty that meant Velocity would be playing in the final the first year as a club. Walk us through the feelings about Madison after the result.
I mean, it's a great feeling. I don't like talking while the game's going on. Obviously, anything can happen. I never want to be too early to celebrate, but as a goalkeeper, you're just you're back there. You can hear everybody. Chit chat, all that. You look like a cone. So hearing that for 120 minutes, and then obviously the previous games where they score, honestly, worldies of goals, just feels great. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
There's a lot of gamesmanship. You got a bump in the chest from Christian Cheney. Your
nice.
former teammate Garrett said something to you. You may not want to share what he said, but
I made him laugh.
Okay.
He was looking at me, and I kind of smiled with my tongue out, trying to throw him off. So I got him to laugh. But yeah.
Final question for you, Luis. You probably did not imagine playing against your former club 5 freaking times in one calendar year. But nonetheless, here we are. It's tied 2-2. They beat us twice at their home. We beat them twice at our home. What's going to be the difference this time?
What a story that is, huh? I mean, playing against my former team in the final. I'm not even thinking about it too much like that. We've had some good games against them, and we've had some bad ones. So we know it's going to be a battle. Obviously, more is at stake now. But I feel confident with my team. I'm not looking too much towards them. I feel like we've been kind of putting into a certain amount of work that has led us to get to the final, and we just got to keep bringing that momentum. And I'm here to help lead the guys. So I feel like we're in a good spot now, and I just think we need to focus on ourselves and enjoy it at the end of the day. That's a big thing I like to tell them is enjoy our football, because I know when we enjoy it is when we get results.
Luis, what was kind of your message heading into playoffs? You guys knew you were going to have to go on the road all 3 of these games if you were going to make it. You hadn't had much success on the road of late. Just what was your message to the guys, and how have you kind of seen that in the first 2 games?
Yeah, going back to that, I mean, a big thing was just to enjoy our football. We had come back from 5-6 games of not getting any type of results, and which is tough, especially going into the playoffs. But we had put ourselves in a good enough situation to where we can, have those, moments and still be in the playoffs and still make it. Obviously, it would have been nice to do it in front of our fans, hosting the game. But a big thing that I told the guys was, to dig deep, but we would need everybody, even the guys. To me, the most important guys are the ones coming off the bench. They're the ones that are going to be the game changers. We can be up winning the game, and we have to make some changes, and the guys coming in are the ones who have to be the difference, whether it's making a defensive play, or maybe even putting it in the back of the net to make the lead a lot bigger. But it goes back to the Madison game as well. The guys who came in, I think more than half of them took penalties and scored. So that's big time. We need everybody, and everybody plays a certain role on the team, no matter if you start or you come off the bench. So I think that's just the biggest thing for me is to keep reiterating that to the players, and we just got one more game to go, so we got to leave it all out there on the field.
And then Brooks, for you, coming in late this year, you take over the starting goalie spot. Just kind of, what would it mean to you to come into this team? Maybe you didn't know many of these guys before, but to get to this point and lift a trophy this year, what would that mean to you?
It'd be really cool. It's always tough to come into a team halfway through the year, learn a different style of how we play, but just kind of put my head down, did the work, got the opportunity. Super happy to be on the field with all these guys. I mean, we've got a lot of really good players on the team, and I believe in all of them. I think we can get it done. So yeah,
Luis, you came to Union Omaha right after they had won the championship in 2021. I'm curious, did you kind of feel that championship pedigree when you were there with them at first, and do you feel that kind of building in Spokane?
Oh, for sure. They definitely had that, that type of feeling being there. They've been a successful club, right? I think they've always made playoffs. They've been in the finals quite a couple times, Supporter Shield, twice in a row now. So there's a lot of expectations for them as well. But I mean, the players deal with it really well as well. But I think I'm excited for this. Being an expansion team and being in the finals for the first time. I think that's even more difficult than what they've done. So to me, it's just more of a responsibility that I have as well to help lead this team in this situation. But we got a great group of guys who have my back as well and who help me, in this process. So I think it's just going to keep growing for this team, and I can see a lot of great things happening.
I guess also, you were out for a couple games there towards the end of the season, and I'm just curious if you've noticed kind of a change on the pitch from before you went out to after you went out, and now you guys have gone on this streak here.
A little bit. Obviously, it's part of the game. Injuries are going to happen, and we've had quite a few injuries throughout the season, right? Even in the beginning of the year, where important players, kind of get season-ending injuries, but then we got guys who step in. So I'm always confident if I have to take a time away, I'm injured or anything like that, somebody else is going to step in. Results aren't going to always go your way. When I'm on the field, we lose. It's not like I'm anything special like that. So I think it's just important that we have that mindset of, okay, if one player is out, the next guy's going to step in. But obviously, I want to be on the field as much as possible. I feel like I can contribute, and we just got to keep it going.
Questions from the audience?
I got a question for Brooks. As a goalkeeper in the last line of defense, you face lots of pressure in your position. What are some things you do to keep your mental health in check, especially when a match may not go how you want it to?
It's a good question, to be honest. I think I just try to break it down and find solutions. There's always a solution, even if the game doesn't go your way. If you can look at it from a different perspective, not take it too much to heart, look at it, learn from it, and get better from it, that's all you can really do in a moment like that. Obviously, I'm going to get scored on. It happens. You're a goalkeeper. It's all about the next play. It's all about moving on and, internalizing it and staying in the game regardless of what happens if you make a mistake, if you're having the best game of your life.
I have a question for both of you guys. Just kind of like looking at your overall career and your success within your career. I know, Brooks, you're just kind of starting your career. You're a little bit younger than some of the other guys on the squad. Just a little bit of advice that you would give to maybe the youth kids who are looking to be in your position someday. What kind of advice would you give them to keep training during matches that might be hot or really intense matches? What kind of advice would you give to the youth?
Okay, I'll go after.
I would say just keep working. Don't get too high, don't get too low. In my career already, there's been a lot of ups. There's also been a lot of downs. You can't get stuck when things aren't going your way. You just got to keep pushing through it, and you got to realize you can't control everything. You just can control what you can control. And if you're putting your best foot forward and doing everything you can, and it's still not going your way, you keep doing it. Eventually, your luck's going to change.
I think it's a mentality thing, which is hard to do, especially for young players. I was fortunate that when I started at 16 years old playing professionally, but playing against, these 30-year-old guys who are up in my face, telling me, all these bad things, and it's tough, but finding a way to balance that out, because it's in the best interest of the team. A lot of times you got to hold each other accountable, but at the same time, you got to have teammates that help you along the way. It's a lot has to do with it mentally, but to push yourself as well. I think to be able to do that, push yourself when you're doing good things as well. Keep pushing yourself to try and raise that standard. But when things are down, you know, don't get too down on yourself, and you know, just know there's brighter days are gonna come. Things will get better because you got to keep trucking along. The season, a lot of times, it's a long season. Anything can happen. You know, beginning of the season, you may not even be on the coach's radar, not even on the rosters, and then the next thing you know, when it's the most important, you get your opportunity, and you can be a game changer. So always being prepared for that.
Thanks.
All right, thank you both.
Wait, one more quick thing. Happy almost birthday, Louis Seal.
Okay.
Tomorrow is his birthday.
That's good information. Playing at a place that is tough to win at against a tough team. Sort of how's the team sort of mentally going into this, and how has it been similar throughout this playoff? Sort of how have y'all been?
Let me start. I think it's been the same. I mean, obviously the mentality's shifted in the playoffs just because there's more at stake. But I think the guys have handled it extremely well. There's been a freedomness in the team that we know what we have to do on the weekend, and in training we're going to work and do whatever we have to do to get better. But also, like, we're enjoying it. We're enjoying every minute of it together. And I think that speaks a lot to the group. I mean, that's not always easy to do in those moments.
It's the same for me. I think it's the same with the group, with all the guys. You can see it in training. You can see how we enjoy it as a family. I would always say family because I'm strong on family, so I don't really use the word group. But in training and how we receive information from the coaches, you could see it. So I don't think there would be any difference how we approach these games. We're going to go for it, and we're going to go with everything that we have, whether we're at home or away.
How much extra does it mean to y'all to be setting so many firsts in this first season, and to be able to do this as an expansion side that nobody's ever done in this league in this format?
Yeah, I think it's really special. I mean, but like Leigh mentioned, it speaks on behalf of the club from top to bottom. I mean, without them, we couldn't do what we do. I think that they're the ones who have put this fan group together. The fans have come out every single game to support us, and without them, we can't do what we do. And that's the reality of it. And so to the ownership, to the front office, and to our fans, I think we owe them everything. And I think without them, we're nothing.
Yeah, I agree. With us being the team that finished 7th, I don't think there is any pressure on us. I think all the pressure is on them. So we just have to go and do what we have to do pretty much.
I wanted to ask about that pressure. You know, when you go in, they're at home, they're the higher seed, you know, the first 2 playoff games, and again for this one, can you guys kind of feel that they feel like they have to perform because they're, you know, the higher seed, and does that help you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good way to look at it for us. I mean, truly, we're going somewhere that's difficult to play, and if we look at it from an aspect of all the pressure's on them, it takes the pressure off us, and we're able to play our game and focus on the things that we can control. And if we execute on the day, then we're going to get the result.
Yeah, and as you can see all over social media, you can see the percentage for them. It's always high. And knowing the fact that they win the Supporter Shield and they are the champion, whatever, last year or 2 years before, they always been favorite in this league. And as I say, we come in as an expansion team. We always the underdog. As you can see, we have great players here, but we never get the recognition that we need. But we keep pushing and we keep showing them that we can do whatever it takes. And know we are in the finals, so we just go in there and embrace what we have right now.
Have you guys felt any, you know, major shift either in the game or just the team's attitude that's, you know, contributed to this run?
I think it's just been a confidence thing. I think we've been, I mean, for myself personally, I think that, like, I'm a very firm believer in the way you train is the way you're going to perform on the weekend. And I think that from the guys that are on the bench that aren't even on the roster to the guys that play every minute of every game, we're competing at all moments of training. That prepares us for the game. Guys are playing against, I think guys are playing against better players than they are in training than they may be playing on the weekend. And I think that challenges everybody, and it challenges the environment, and I think that's what brings success. I think that it speaks on behalf of the roster and the team and the guys that we have.
For me, it's a maze thing for me because I've never seen, I see it in soccer, but I never really see it in my team. The playoff game that we won 3-0, and the last game of the season where we dominate Knoxville, I see the coach make one switch where he switch Ati and he put Swango in. And at one point as a player, I was like, why make that switch? We just had a great game. But then you see the result, man. Swango was amazing. And Jack come in, he's amazing. So I just think it's the bond that we have. Like, whichever player the coach use, whichever system that we play at this point, we're just going to deliver.
Collin, I had to look this up. Velocity are your 10th professional club. And I had to also remind myself that you're only 27 years old. So you know what they say, 10th time is a charm. Mm-hmm. What has been different about this professional setting for you?
I think sort of the connection with the front office, with the staff, I think it's made me feel a lot more comfortable, and I'm able to kind of just enjoy playing football and be who I am. And I think that's I can't thank all these people enough for giving me that. Because to be honest, last year I didn't have that, and I mean this year's been a complete turnaround. So I'm so grateful for them and for giving me this opportunity to be here and play for this city. And I mean, playing a championship, you can't ask for much more.
I have a couple penalty-related questions here. Collin, how'd you feel about Christian Cheney first chest bumping our friend Brooks over here, and then patting you on the back on the way to take the fifth and decisive penalty against Madison on Saturday? You did not seem to move, and I know you've got a little bit of a temper. You did not seem to react.
That's very nice to say it that way. No, I mean, obviously, don't touch my main man, Brooks. I mean, I don't like that, first of all. But to be honest, I was expecting him to say something to me, and he did. And I liked it. I enjoy that. I mean, it's part of the game. I mean, I love going places and the fans are yelling at you, and then I go and do my job, and the whole place is silent. So, I mean,
as we described it at Flatstick, we didn't love him doing that, but we also didn't hate it.
Exactly. I mean, I'd expect nothing less, and I enjoyed it.
Okay. All right, Andre, for you. You celebrated your penalty kick the same way you celebrated your game winner against Ballard in the Open Cup. Are you actually crazy, or does something about confronting opposing fans just get you extra motivated?
I mean, it motivates me, of course, but for Madison, it's a bit of payback.
Okay.
I will never forget when they beat us 3-0 at home, how they were celebrating in front of our fans. And then when they beat us 2-0, they were talking a little bit of trash. So it was a bit of payback. I wanted us to score during the game and win, but I had a gut feeling that we were going to win this game. So I was just waiting on it, when, to do that payback. So, yeah, to do it in front of the fans, especially when I was walking out, because I was talking with Collin, Brooks, the main man over there. He's my roommate on the road, so we talk about him making one. And I was like, once you make, I'm going to make. I was talking to Collin, it's going to come down to you. So I know at the moment I'm going to score. I was just waiting to do that payback, to be fair.
Collin, what was that moment like when you scored the final penalty? It kind of seemed like you were like, Ricky Bobby, what do I do with my hands? Because you ran over to Brooks and he was talking to the fans, and then you were like, you didn't really know what to do. What was that whole moment
I was
like?
really, to be honest, I was pretty confused. Brooks was looking the other way.
Brooks' fault.
I was like, okay, I mean, I score, I run to Brooks, obviously. He's the one who made the save. He's the one who made the big difference. And I run over there and he's staring at the other way. And I'm kind of confused on what's going on, so I start just running all over the place. But once I could get a hold of him and we could get together, that was really the special moment. I mean,
Ricky Bobby. Oh
yeah,
my God.
Ricky Bobby. That's good.
And then Andre, for you, I mean, when you kind of look back on your career from scoring against France as a teenager to going overseas to come to America, and now, did you ever think in your first year with an expansion club here that you'd be playing for a trophy?
In everything you do, you want to compete. I never expect that we would be this far because I didn't know what to expect. I put a lot of thought into coming here. I talked with the coach, and after getting off the phone, I talked with my agent, and I was like, yeah, he's someone that something strong, something I would take on. But yeah, as I said, like I didn't know the players. When I start to see the signing, I know Louise, big player in the league. I know Collin throughout the championship. So I was a little bit like, let's see what the year after offer. But while I get here and I see the setup, and as everyone can say, ownership, I can say it's a lot better than even championship team, man. Like the treatment that we get here is special. So I know after games, I know we played, I know we are a special team. I just didn't know how it was gonna play out. I know we in the final, so as I say, I'm just embracing it.
Yeah, for each of you, I mean, coming in inaugural season, you both have played with, multiple other clubs. When was kind of the moment, and, since we're reference heavy today, I'll go Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber, where you kind of were like, you're telling me there's a chance where, this team can actually win a championship. When was that moment for each of you?
I think you saw throughout the season, you saw glimpses of we've had so many positive performances, and you could see that this team was coming together. But I would say our first playoff game is when you saw that we were like, wow, we can actually do this thing. We go out on the road and smack one of the best teams in the league and come out with such a positive performance that gave us all the confidence we needed.
For me, I don't know if you guys remember, and it's coming down to Omaha. It's the 3-2 game at home. That's when I start to I have a lot of friends that play soccer overseas in the US. I have my friends calling me, and they're like, yo, you guys are a good team. They enjoy the game, and the way we play the championship team, the favorite, that was the moment I realized, we can do it, and we can go as far as we can. Yeah, Colorado game, I never have Colorado as a team that's going to beat us, to be fair. But Omaha, that 3-2 game here, and then we beat them 2-0, yeah, that's the game I start to think, we can put something together here.
And also two different play styles between both of you. Both in the midfield, Andre, very explosive playmaker, Collin, very savvy, technical. How have you guys complemented each other throughout this season on the pitch?
For me, I just say Collin, win the ball and give it to me.
That's the reality. No, honestly, I think when I look at my job on the field, I try to make it, my job is to make the other people's job on the field as easy as possible. I think that if I can win the ball and give it to Dre and let Dre run with it and go forward, then I've done my job. I think that's why we have attacking players, that's why we have defenders, and I consider myself one of the more defensive players on the team. And if I can win the ball, give it to the attackers, and let them go score, all glory to them. Let them go celebrate and have all the joy.
Yeah, I agree. I just say, Collin, look for me, look forward. And my main job is to look for Louise. That's our main guy, and that's it for me pretty much.
Collin, penalty kicks came down to you. Kind of what was your thought process going up? That's shoot the goal, big moment, obviously. What was going through your head at that moment?
To be honest, we've been training penalty kicks for the past 3 weeks, and I just relied on that. I said, I had in my mind what I was going to do, and I stuck with that, and I knew that if I did that, I could execute and we could come out on top. So I really relied on that and the training that we had.
All right, we've got time for one more question. Benji, really?
Believe it or not.
All right.
There's some players who couldn't make it this far into the season because of injury. Pierre, Morgan, Roman, Grayson, Mikey, etc. Any words for the players that were a key part of this club in their first year, especially early on in the season, that couldn't be playing with the team right now? Any words for them?
Those guys are still part of our team. It's when you're injured, it's harder than when you're playing. It always is. So for those guys to mentally be through this and always supporting us and getting it through themselves, to do their work and just try to get back on the field as soon as possible, is a testament to them as people and also as teammates. Without them and their support, we couldn't do what we do. It's true. It's not like these things happen, and it always happens in sports. But you have to have good people in the team, in the locker room, and those guys are great guys, and they support us every day.
For me, I suffer a major injury. I know Rahman, we're really close, we talk on the phone a lot. But my main thing, going through injury, I just like to hear my teammates saying, we need you. And that's pretty much what I try to do when I see the guys. I would talk to Pierre, I would be like, yo, we need you. Especially when we lose a game, I like, we need you to come back. I talk to Rahman, it's the same thing. But towards the end of the season, I know it's up to the coaching staff, so I can't dwell more on that more than I just try to tell them, we need you. Just to see where they're at or what they would think, like, do you think we belong in the team, so it keep their spirit going and hopefully to take their rehab serious and come back as soon as possible.
All right, thank you both.